Hey kids, Mr. Fly here, hope you're well, and welcome back to another Bike News, the monthly roundup of all that's been going on here in the world of motorcycles in the UK. I've got another 4 MCNs to go through and an adventure bike rider magazine this month, so stick around and stay tuned. Let's crack on with the news. Right, so that's quite exciting, isn't it? I've got a copy of Adventure Bike Rider magazine because last Bike News, I think I put something on my Instagram yeah, there was a picture, that's right, of my little setup here as I was recording Bike News, and the editor of ABR said, looks like you're missing our magazine. So I said, can you do anything about it? And he kindly sent me a copy of the magazine. I've now got a subscription to that as well. So we'll be getting bits out of Adventure Bike Rider every other month because that comes out every 2 months as well. So thank you for that. Anyway, MC, can you believe March already gone? It's just incredible. Where does the time go? I cannot believe it. So don't forget, at the end of this video, I will be bringing you some Parish Notices with some news about stuff that's going on with the channel, plus some little ideas of some new features that I maybe want your help with as well. So stick around to the very end if you're a fan of the channel, because I could do with your help with some of those things. And yeah, we'll be doing that in Parish Notices. All right, that's enough waffle. Let's crack on with the news. Now, normally I prepare these a bit in advance and I know what stories are coming up, but I didn't do that this time. I can't quite remember what I've tagged here, so it's news to me as well as you. Right, first story here: more Brit-built Triumphs. Oh yeah, I remember. Now, do you remember a couple of years back when Triumph announced they were moving much more of their production to the Middle East? It caused a right old hoo-ha, didn't it? Because Triumph, of course, do make great play of the fact that they are a British company. Some of these special editions were still made at the factory, but most of it went over to their factories in Thailand. I think they've got 2 factories there, and a number of people were laid off. So it was a bad news story for Triumph, really. Well, the good news is things are turning around, it seems, at Triumph, and more jobs, and the factory is gearing up again here in the UK over at Hinckley. So it says here, Triumph are massively ramping up the UK production in a move that will more than treble output from the Hinckley factory and create nearly 100 new jobs. After a big rise in UK and European sales. What great news that is. Chief Commercial Officer Paul Stroud said, we'll have the Centre of Design Excellence at Hinckley and an expanded production capability as well. It will start progressively at a rate of 15,000 a year, then we'll go up very quickly to beyond 20,000 bikes a year. It doesn't say which bikes they're going to make there, by the way, I don't think. We'll carry on. He predicts the factory will be running at full capacity within 9 months, starting with the Tiger 1200, while the Tiger 900, Speed Triple and Rocket 3 will follow before the end of the year. So it looks like those are the bikes that are going to be made there. With Norton opening a new factory facility just up the road, BSA promising an all-new manufacturing base in the Midlands, and Royal Enfield's strong UK R&D base, could we be witnessing the return of British motorcycling manufacturers' glorious heyday? Well, let's hope so. Great to have such a good news story. Glad to hear that Triumph are doing that again. It just makes sense, doesn't it, from a, well, just from all points of view, really. If they're going to make a big deal about being a British brand, then it's right that some bikes are made in the UK. So great news from Triumph there. Next story, Fantic on the up. New factory, new engines, and even new bikes from resurgent Italian brand. Now this is Fantic, which I rode the Caballero. I borrowed it from Crazy Horse a couple of years ago. Really like that little bike, it's a lovely sort of scrambler type of bike, but it had an engine in it that was sourced from China, which always for some reason is a problem. The rest of the bike made in Italy, designed in Italy, but because the engine was made in China, got a bit of a bad rap. Anyway, it says here, Fantic are going from strength to strength with big plans for the future, developing affordable new products in different sectors which embody lots of emotion: enduro, flat track, scrambler and rally, says Roman, the technical director apparently of Fantic. One of the side effects of their success has been their ability to purchase Minarelli from Yamaha. So not only are they now in a position to start building all their own engines, which is great news, they'll also be supplying them to others. Within 2 years, Roman says every Fantic will be 100% built in Italy, with their own engines, so they will no longer have to rely on Zhongshan, which is the factory in China that actually is one of the better Chinese factories. It produces bikes, if I remember rightly, for the likes of who's the owners of Aprilia. You know the lot. I mean, so they make scooter engines. They do make some Aprilia engines. I think they might do some KTM as well. Not sure. Anyway, in the case of Fantic, that'll be no more soon because they're going to start building their own engines. So another great news story there, as far as I'm concerned. Right, Multistrada gets more move to make Ducati's V4 better for shorter riders. Now this is a fantastic update. I rode the Multistrada V4 recently. My videos are currently going up on that. I think I've got one more video coming on the V4, the mighty Multistrada, where I do a comparison of that bike against the GS, which I know is something that a lot of people have been asking about. So stay tuned to the channel if you're interested in that particular comparison. Anyway, one of the complaints I had about the bike was that to put the heated grips on, you had to press the heated grips button, then on the other handlebar you had to navigate some menus to turn the heated grips on, and then when you turn the bike off, the heated grips went off, and you had to do that all again when you turn the bike back on again. Right old hassle. Glad to say Ducati have done a software update, so when you next take your bike in to be serviced or whatever, they'll update the software for you, and it puts that right, so now you can turn the heated grips on just using the button. You don't have to faff about, and there are some other changes as well which sound pretty cool, so let me read these to you. Ducati have updated their Multistrada V4 range for 2022, adding a new iceberg white paint job and a range of electronic updates. Ducati's semi-active electronic suspension gets a new feature called minimum preload. This sounds great. This allows you to reduce the bike's ride height, making it easier to manage at slow speeds and around town. Now, our understanding of this is when you get on the bike, or when you start the bike up, you can press the button, the suspension button, it lowers, and then it only goes high when you go over 70 miles an hour. I think that's the case. So if you're a shorty like me, it's going to make the bike much more accessible. Not that it was too inaccessible anyway, but certainly if you're shorter than me, this is going to help. So yeah, so your next update at your Ducati dealer, you should get this minimum preload feature, and you'll get the heated grips feature as well, so make sure you ask for that if they don't mention it to you. So that's great news. Those are improvements, and of course I recorded my Multistrada videos way before this news came out, so I'll probably whinge about the heated grips again in the next video, you see, and of course that's now irrelevant. So I do know that. I know I'll get a load of comments saying, oh, they've fixed it now in an upload. I know they have. I record my videos some months in advance. Other than this one, I'm recording this on Tuesday. It's 20 to 12, and I'll be uploading it to YouTube, all things willing, tomorrow morning at 7:15, so this one is very much up to date. All right, next up, Perfect Storm. 5 days, 1,000 miles and 3 storms confirm the Tiger Sport's genius. This is the Triumph Tiger Sport 660, another bike that I recently rode. Video on the channel, I'll put a link in the corner somewhere to that one if you're interested. Really enjoyed this bike, actually. I didn't think I was going to, hence why I held off riding it for a bit, because when I saw pictures of it, I thought, that's just a mundane do-it-all. But actually, it's a great fun bike, really good value, and I really loved it. But let's see what MCN said about it in the verdict here. This is from Michael Neves, my favourite MCN tester. He says, the Triumph Tiger Sport 660 has proved to be an all-rounder that's so capable it belies its price, power and engine size. Wholeheartedly agree, I found exactly the same. Aside from going off-road, there's nothing it can't do. Its lightness, smooth controls, friendly power and slick gearbox make it easy to live with over big distances, but impressively it's also stable, grippy and fun in corners, regardless of whether the surface is wet or dry. Now the review I did, I think, was pretty much entirely in the wet, but I did get to ride the bike in the dry as well, and I couldn't agree with Nevesy more. Absolutely fantastic bike. It's a really good fun machine. As he says, it belies the price. The Tiger Sport 660 is hugely capable and great value for money, but we'd have never predicted just how well it would have handled life on UK roads. Yeah, agreed. 8,450 will get you a Tiger Sport 660. If you fancy a bike that will do a bit of everything, then this is a great one to consider. Or if you're just new into biking, you want your first big bike, you could do a lot worse than the Tiger Sport 660. I can tell you, it's a great machine. All right, next up, a quality, low-cost classic. Royal Enfield's new 4.5K Classic 350 harks back to a bygone era of British motorcycling. Now, this is a bike that I was very interested to hear about. The old Classic 500 that Royal Enfield built. I love the looks of it, but boy, it was a bit of a dog when it came to riding it. But very popular. I made a video on that years ago, and I think it's in my top 5 most viewed videos ever, which is incredible. So I was very keen to get hold of this new Classic 350, which I have now done, and again, posted a video on that. I'm running out of links. I can only do 5 of these links per video. So if I've got one left, I'll stick one in the corner to my Classic 350 review. Loved that bike. Unfortunately, the one I borrowed was laden with accessories that I didn't think actually helped. But the standard bike, I think, looks brilliant if you're looking at the pictures here. What do MCN say? They say there are no Royal Enfield's new 4.5K Classic 350 harks back to a bygone era of British motorcycling. There are no panel gaps or dodgy welds, and it gives off the impression of a bike costing more than its sub £5 grand ticket. I would agree. It's hard to fathom just how Royal Enfield can sell the 350 so cheaply at 4,439 on the road. Now that is a good price, isn't it, for a new bike? It's more wallet friendly than a lot of mass-produced Japanese 125s, many of which are draped in endless plastic and share none of the Enfield's charm. Couldn't agree more. If I had more space, I would 100% have one of these new Royal Enfield Classic 350. Same engine as the Meteor, really smooth single piston engine on here. Don't know how they've done it. That's clever flywheels and balancing, I guess. But yeah, looks great, goes well, really nice bike, and 4439. The verdict here from Dan Sutherland: the Classic 350 is so much better than any 4500 single has any right to be. A delightful blend of modest power, build quality and quaint styling. The Classic is slightly let down by lack of feel from the brakes. It could also benefit from a 6th gear and a slightly higher top speed. Yeah, but you're paying 4439, so I mean, we can forgive it a few little foibles, can't we? But overall, it doesn't feel like a cheap and nasty machine in any way. Quite the opposite, in fact. So yeah, check one of those out if you're at all interested in getting a Classic in your garage. Alrighty, that's the first paper. I'm up against time. I'm always getting told I speak too fast. I do apologise. You'll just have to listen quicker. But I'm having to do this on one battery on my GoPro. I'm recording it, and without overheating. I've got a little fan underneath the camera. Let's hope it keeps going. How are we doing? All right, next up here, Super Touring Superbike. Now this is a Buell. They made it says a Buell make mad 182 brake horsepower V-twin adventure tourer. Check the looks of this thing out. Now it might be super practical, but my goodness me, it's a humdinger in the ugly stakes, isn't it? I really haven't seen a bike as awful looking as this for a long, long time. Now sometimes bikes surprise you, don't they? And they're better in the flesh. The Harley Davidson Pan American is one such example. Even the Ducati Streetfighter I first really didn't like when I saw the pictures, but in the flesh, a beautiful bike. I don't think this one's going to work somehow. I mean, look at this, the lights at the front that do it, isn't it? Anyway, let's read what it says here. Buell have burst back onto the scene in a big way, unveiling 2 new bikes powered by the engine from their Hammerhead 1190. The Super Touring is powered by the 1190 V-twin from the Hammerhead, which itself is a bored-out version of the 1125R developed by Rotax for Buell. Interesting, I know Rotax, of course, because one of my other hobbies is flying small aircraft, and Rotax make lots of engines for light aircraft. Very reliable, very well made machines. I think they're a Swiss company, actually. It says here, Hammerhead's wet weight minus fuel was 190 kilograms, so we'd expect this to be around 235 kilograms fueled to the brim, so quite a heavy bike. Buell is saying they plan to put the Super Tour into production in the autumn with a recommended retail price of approximately £16,700. So yeah, I can think of better ways of spending 16,700 quid. Is it just me, or is that really ugly as F? Anyway, might just be me. It's entirely a personal opinion. Don't get too upset if you love it. All right, moving on. Right, next up, another Royal Enfield story. Classy specials as Enfield celebrate 120th birthday. Now, these look absolute corkers, don't they? I think we've mentioned them before on Bike News, but they are now available, I think. These are their special editions bikes to celebrate their 120th anniversary. Let's read what I've highlighted here. Royal Enfield have unveiled a pair of special edition 650s for their 120th anniversary. The limited run of Interceptor and Continental GTs debuted in a flash sale on Monday. Well, this will be a few weeks ago, Monday now. We expect the UK allocation to be long gone by the time you read this, and it was. I checked out the website, they've all gone, so you can't have one of these even if you want one. Just 120, 60 of each were made available with Europe, and only 11 of each model available for buyers in the UK, so you've got no chance of getting one of these. The tanks on the special editions are finished in this black chrome scheme. It's sort of a dark silver. It looks a real quality finish. I think it looks amazing. The special editions are sporting blacked out engines and silencers like that. Handmade die-cast brass tank badge adorns each machine. And last but not least, each special edition also has a side panel that pays tribute to Enfield's 120-year history. The special edition Interceptor 650 is priced at 8150, while the Continental GT 8350. So yeah, lovely looking bikes. And what a shame they only made so few, because I reckon if they had made this on a mass-produced basis and still charged 8,300 quid for the most expensive one, they'd still fly off the shelves. I'd buy one of them for 8,300 quid. I think it looks amazing. So yeah, Enfield, come on, knock out something a bit similar but all of us can buy. Okay, moving on. Oh, this is, I love a bit of technology, me. This is just a story that caught my eye. This is amazing. Press print for super light bikes, it says here. So this here, this picture, main picture, is a 3D printed bike frame. And what struck me about it is apparently it's been developed, the structure of it, using some clever mathematical algorithm to work out the strength and so on. And to me, it looks like a natural skeleton, doesn't it? So it just it's one of those things where I think, oh, but isn't evolution amazing? It comes up with this itself. But if evolution was making a motorbike, this is what it would look like. Anyway, I digress. Let's read what it says about it. This 3D printed frame could be revolutionary in the design and manufacturing of future race bikes, promising to be lighter than alloy or titanium. Apparently this was made at the Nebrija University in Madrid, and it says here, because the 3D printing isn't fast, it's unlikely to be used for mass-produced bikes. It's some of the highlights here. The frame tubes are all hollow, with walls just 0.8mm to 1mm thick, making it incredibly light despite being made of steel. The layout of the triangulated tubes is created using a computer algorithm to maximise strength with reduced weight. I think that's very clever. It weighs in 3.8 kilograms, whereas a normal alloy chassis would be around about 5 kilograms, or a steel one 6 to 7 kilograms, so massive weight saving. The chassis is made using a standard widely available powdered steel using existing additive manufacturing 3D printing technology. Wow. Well, I mean, it's probably irrelevant for you and me. I don't suppose we're going to see these anytime soon because they do take a long time to print and no doubt are expensive. But I guess we'll be seeing these on race bikes in the near future. Fascinating. 3D printing is just one of those amazing game-changing technologies, isn't it, potentially? We'll see how that goes. Right. New trip is right up your street. Big changes as Triumph tests an Öhlins equipped 765 triple. Now this sounds interesting. Triumph are working on a top spec street triple to take over from the RS as the pinnacle of the 765 pile. Now this is something that I find a little bit annoying actually with Triumph. I'm a big Triumph fan, as you will have gathered. But they'll bring out a bike, it's great, everybody raves about it and you want to go and buy one, and you know, maybe you do buy one, and then a few months later they'll bring out an RS version which is slightly better than the one you bought, so you feel a little bit miffed. But those that bought the RS feeling quite, you know, cat that's got the cream. And then a few months later they do something that overtakes the RS, some special edition. Anyway, I digress, we'll carry on. So this one says the shower forks are gone in favour of shimmering gold Öhlins. Nice. Clear changes to the bodywork. The face of the bike in front of the headlight has been modified. There are also new plastics alongside the radiators. The big question that remains is whether this new bike will replace the RS, well, it could do, or if it will sit above it as a higher spec version or as a limited edition like Triumph's TFC range. I wonder whatever happened to them. Remember them? We expect it to be around £11,500. What a great bike the Street Triple is. If you didn't gather, I sold my Street Triple a couple of months ago, much to my chagrin. It's gone to a good home, but I love that bike. I just didn't ride it as much as my other bikes, and I don't ride those very much, so it really was just a garage queen. But I do miss it. It was a lovely, lovely bike, and yeah, one day I can see me buying another Street Triple. So if this is going to be an updated version, maybe this is the way to go. Don't know. Anyway, we'll keep our eyes on that. Can't wait to see how that develops. Next up, naked attraction. Ducati's new Streetfighter V2 meets its highly desirable 15k Italian rivals. Now this is interesting to me because, as I mentioned earlier, did I mention earlier? I've got the Streetfighter V2 in the garage at the moment. It's the bike I'm currently testing. So they're putting it up against the Aprillia Tuono and the MV Agusta Brutale 800. Now I've not ridden I have ridden the Tuono V4 1100. I've not ridden the smaller one, the 660, which I'll be interested to ride. Interesting that they've put the bigger one up against the Street Fighter V2. But let's face it, when we talk about these being smaller bikes, things like the Street Fighter, it is 955cc, so it's hardly small, is it? Anyway, let's see what their verdict was. I don't want to give away what I think of the small Street Fighter, but let's see what Mike Armitage said. So he said all three are genuinely very good indeed. Each has its attraction. The Ducati is in second place, a remarkable bike and wonderful to ride, but like the V4 version, has electronics that are so effective they almost sanitise the experience. That's very interesting. The Tuono V4 manages to be bewilderingly fast, super sharp and thrilling, yet also practical, civilised and flattering. It's sensational. MCN love the Tuono. It always comes out top on any of the reviews that they do. I love it too, I must admit, and given it's been around for a while now, albeit with some tweaks and changes, it still stays at the top of the pile. An amazing bike. Must try and get hold of one of these new ones. It's not that easy for me to get Aprilias, but I would like to get an Aprilia Tuono V4. Give it another try because it's been a while since I rode one. All right, that's the second paper. How are we doing? Paper number 3. What do we got here? Scrambled for life around town. Oh, yet another Royal Enfield story. They've been hogging the paper of late. So this is a new Himalayan-based Scrambler that they've come out with. It's called the Scrambler 4, or the Scram 411, and I think it looks really, really great. The Himalayan has got a lot of plaudits, isn't it? But personally, it's not a bike I very much like. I just think the agricultural look and utilitarian look of it just isn't for me. But and also, it didn't ride that well, and but great value for money and very rugged. It's built for, you know, for purpose. This, however, amazingly built on the same sort of chassis, just with a few tweaks and changes, and I think it looks great. And I think it's cheaper than the Himalayan as well. So this looks like a good bike. Anyway, let's read what I've highlighted here. Royal Enfield have unveiled the Scram 411, a stripped-back Himalayan, or Himalayan as it's correctly pronounced, adventure bike that's been fettled for tackling the urban jungle. With its simple look and design, playful colourways, accessible riding proposition, the Scram 411 is an ultimate ADV crossover for the urban environment. So the implication here being that it looks like a Scrambler, but really it's one of these sort of hipster around town bikes. I don't care, I don't go off-road anyway, it suits me. The biggest change is the swap to a 19-inch front wheel from the 21-inch. The other major change is that the fairing has clearly gone, and it has a high mudguard, and I think it's made the bike look so much better for it. There's also a new single-piece seat, Royal Enfield are remaining tight-lipped about the price, but a Himalayan, or Himalayan as I should say, currently starts at 4,699, and we'd expect the Scram to come in at similar money by the time it arrives in dealers by early summer this year. So one to keep a lookout for. Really looking forward to having a go on this one. Again, it's one of those bikes that just really appeals to me, and what great value. Again, if I had space, I'd probably have one of these and the Classic in my garage. I need to get an extension. All right, moving on to my garage, that is, before anyone else says anything. A fresh angle on bike security. So this here is basically a test to see how easy it is to cut through locks and what we can do about it. Because this is one of the issues, isn't it? That all these devilish thieves these days are using these portable angle grinders, and pretty much they'll get through anything given time. So what it says here, there's a feeling is that if a thief really wants to get your bike, they'll get it. And this isn't helped by the ready availability of battery-powered angle grinders. There you go. With my Scout's badge in metal destruction attained. This is Ben Clark. Hello, Ben, if you're watching. I did meet Ben once on trip. Nice fella. He says, with my Scout's badge in metal destruction attained, I set about doing my worst to Image 4's Apex Pro ground anchor, which is rated motorcycle diamond in sole secure testing. Now, this is from Image 4 Security. They're the same people that make the garage door barriers. They're also sponsors of the channel, but I think their products are absolutely amazing. I would say that, but I've got two of those garage door barriers and they are brilliantly made. Thoroughly recommend them to the house, and they've now made this super secure ground anchor as well. I think it's safe to say that the Apex Pro is impervious to attack in a real world setting, with sparks flying and a screaming angle grinder in your hand in someone else's garage. That's what Ben says anyway. So he's a fan of it basically. So that then means, I guess, the weakest link is the chain itself, isn't it? So I guess the idea is keep the chain off the ground if you can, to make it hard to get the grinder at. And anyway, this is going to be in your garage, this ground anchor with the chain. You're going to hear somebody in there having a go at it, aren't you? But yeah, if you want to go super secure, get yourself the Defender ground anchor. It's just another step, isn't it? You know, if you have to think of security, I always think of it as an onion, layers of security. The more you can do, the more you can put off thieves getting your bike. But I do kind of agree that if they're really determined, they'll get it. I heard of someone somewhere that their roof was taken off the garage and the bike was actually craned out of the garage. Can you believe that? Don't know if it's true or not. Might be an urban myth. Anyway, best of all worlds. Is the Speed Triple RR the perfect blend of superbike and super naked? Now this is the sort of sporty version of the Speed Triple. I've been watching Chopsy's review of this in the last week or so. He's a big fan of it. I mean, and it does look nice. I haven't seen one in the flesh yet. I'm getting one of these, I think, next week for a couple of weeks from Triumph UK. I cannot wait to get my hands on it because I'm a fan of the Speed Triple. I'm wondering with this though, does it give you, basically it's not a full-on sports bike, so you don't get everything you want from a sports bike, and you've lost the comfort of the naked Speed Triple. So I'm wondering if it's a good idea or not. I don't know. I reserve judgment until I've seen it in the flesh and ridden it, of course. But what have MCN said about it? Let's whip over to their verdict. Oh, this is Neevesy again. Not as easy to live with as you'd think. This is interesting. Triumph's new Speed Triple RR has superbike aping acceleration, handling and tech. It's classy and well equipped too, which gives it a luxurious feel, but don't expect it to be easier to live with than the superbike you're leaving behind. This is my fear with this bike actually. Put it this way, if you struggle to fit comfortably on a GSX-R1000 for any period of time, you'll struggle with this slimline Triumph. That's very interesting. I'm going to be focusing on this when I borrow it. If you want the performance of a superbike mixed in with comfort and ability to enjoy life at road speeds, a super naked still makes the most sense. And if you want the best of all, the utterly brilliant Aprillia Tuono V4 factory is the way to go. Once again, a big thumbs up for the Aprillia V4 factory. Looks, of course, completely different to the Triumph, but yeah, Neves is a fan of that, always has been. I guess always will be. All right, moving on. Tiger stalks its prey. The biggest threat to BMW's GS dominance is the all-new Tiger 1200 GT Pro and GT Explorer. Now, we've seen a lot of this in social media over the last couple of weeks, haven't we? All the journos and some influencers, I guess I'm one of those, although I don't go to launches, have been out to ride this bike in the sunshine. We've seen loads of videos that all look exactly the same on the same bike in the same location, saying the same thing. So I take those all with a pinch of salt. I can't wait to get my hands on one of these on a wet day in Slough to see what it's actually like. Now, I've never seen one in the flesh yet. I missed out seeing it at the NEC. Looking at this, it looks quite nice. For me, the disappointing thing is that the off-road version, which always has the spokes and the slightly higher riding position, always has the best colour scheme, i.e. that green and white. I would love to have one of these as maybe a replacement for my GS, but I want the green and white one, and I don't go off-road, so it'd be a bit wasted. Plus, I'm a bit shorty. So please, 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 Triumph, can we have the green and white one available on either the GT or the GT Explorer, or whatever the off-road one's called? I can't remember. Anyway, let's see what MCN have said here. After 3 generations, the old Tiger needed a radical overhaul. That is an understatement. The old Tiger 1200, great on paper, horrible in practice. So heavy, it was incredible. While they carry the Tiger 1200 name, they are very different. In fact, they are far closer related to the Tiger 900 family, it says here, which is good news, because the Tiger 900, awesome bike. In fact, I think I made that my bike of the year last year. Brilliant bike. Tiger 900 owners will instantly recognise the all-new motor and its T-plane crank. Unlike the turbine-like feel of the old Tiger 1200, when you pull away, it has a slightly chuggy sensation lowered down that makes you question if it's a triple at all. Now, I'm wondering if this is a good idea. I love triples. If this was nice and smooth, and given people are likely to buy these to go touring on, I think smoothness is key. So I'm going to be very interested to see when I get to ride one, how chuggy is that? Is it something that's going to annoy you? Again, as somebody who doesn't go off-road, I'd rather have a triple smoothness and the triple noise than the chugginess. But again, I'll reserve judgment till I've ridden it. What else to say here? When you're working it, the engine vibrates, which Triumph claim make it more engaging. But at constant motorway speed, this buzz remains. Now, that's bad news. So if they're pitching this as a GS beater, if it's buzzy at motorway speeds, they're onto a loser immediately. The all-new chassis has given the GT a much-needed boost of agility, and it can be thrown around on back roads with gusto. And again, those reviews I've seen, I think it was at Portugal that people were riding it. I noticed, I don't think any one of those reviews I saw actually came out and said it is better than the GS. I think I saw the one from Bennett's. I think it was Michael Mann, not sure, it might have been Chad, said that it was up there with the best, but didn't say that it actually beat the GS. So again, time will tell, sales will show us, won't they? I'd love it to beat the GS. I'd love a British manufacturer to get an absolute winner in the category. But I think when you're chasing a class leader like that, I'm not sure. You've got to come out with something radically different and radically better to actually leapfrog it, haven't you? So again, we'll see. Verdict's out for me personally until I've ridden it. Let's just continue here with what MCN said. Is it as agile as a GS? I think the fact that BMW carries its weight low and runs a telelever front will make the Germans slightly more assured on bumpy back roads. So there we go. Immediately, suddenly the GS gets a tick. Aside from missing radar-assisted cruise control, it's hard to fault the tech. Not too worried about technology. Blind spot detection works excellently as a genuinely helpful safety assist. Now, I love blind spot detection. Had it on the Multistrada. Brilliant bit of safety gear. Taking the 16,700 Pro for comparison, a similar spec GS costs 17,505, while the Multistrada costs 19,595. So pricing wise, it's about right, you know, just slightly cheaper than the main competition. So in terms of value for money, the Tiger is the bargain of the class. Is it a GS beater? On the road, it will be close, it says here. So we'll have to draw our own conclusions. The little verdict here from John Ari: Triumph have to be congratulated on what can only be described as a radical transformation of the Tiger 1200. Well, for me, it was starting from a relatively low bar. The new generation of adventure bike more than lives up to its promise, and in terms of its performance, handling and technology, they're certainly on a par with the GS. Doesn't say it beats it. So then it's down to, you know, do you think it's better when you ride it? Do you like the way it looks compared to a GS? And of course, there's rumour, which may be more than that, of a new GS 1300 just around the corner. So personally, I'll be waiting to see that before I make any radical decisions. But I definitely want to have a go on this. I'd love it to be better than a GS, but from what I've seen, I'm not sure yet that it is. But again, jury's out. Right, next up, 3 more stories from here. Honda Hawk 11 delivers retro cool. Check this out. Bullet-faired twin shares engine and parts with the NT1100 and Africa Twin. Honda have previewed a new Hawk 11 ahead of an official unveiling at the Tokyo show this Friday. I think that was last Friday. The Hawk 11 is based on Honda's new NT1100 Tourer. It's self-derived from the frame and engine of the Africa Twin adventure bike. While the Hawk 11 is certain to reach production, there is no official word on price or when it will be available, and it's also not currently planned to be sold in Europe. So there we go. Who knows, they could change their mind. I mean, for me, it reminds me very much of the old, what was it, the BMW R9T Racer, which looked fantastic, didn't it? And but was an absolute nightmare to ride. You were laying across the bike. I loved it from its looks, but it wasn't a practical thing, and BMW sort of silently withdrew it, which was a shame because it was brave of them to put it out there. I think this may be in that same sort of category. It looks lovely, but might be a bugger to live with. It's sort of between the BMW R9T Racer, isn't it, and that Triumph we just talked about, the Speed Triple RR. So it appeals to that same sort of market. But anyway, according to this, it's not going to be here for a while. But interesting that Honda are getting into that market now. What do you make of that one? Let me know what you think. Claws out. Can Triumph's new Tiger Sport 660 beat best its Honda and Yamaha rivals? So this is the Sport 660 up against the NC750X, which I'm currently testing on the channel. One video up on that. If I've got any links left, I'll put it up there. If not, check out my channel last couple of weeks. You will have seen the NC750X on it. And the Yamaha Tracer 9, which I haven't ridden yet, the latest one, but is in the diary. And I will be getting that in a couple of weeks' time from Yamaha. And I'm going to do a direct comparison, actually, between the Tracer 7 and the NC750X as well. And maybe I should mention the Tiger Sport while I'm at it, but of course, that's now gone back to Triumph. What did MCN say? Close, but the Tiger 660 is the best. So there we go, that 660 really is a great bike. The Honda never really stood a chance in this company. Between the Tiger and the Tracer, it was a much closer call. You wouldn't be disappointed by either in isolation, but the Tiger was a little better in every respect. While the Tracer is sporty and firm, the Tiger is much more adaptable and suited to a greater breadth of riding. So yeah, this really is the Tiger 660 loving month, isn't it? And I agree. Great bike. I'm not too sure about the looks from the front, but from the side it looks okay. Reminds me of my old Tiger 1050. But yeah, in that company, seems to be the winner. I'll see when I get to ride the Tracer 7 myself. Okay, last story in MCN. New Tiger goes GS hunting. Okay, so this is the rally, the off-road version. Again, if you've seen the videos like me, you will see that all the people that went on that launch did a day on the on-road bike and then a day on the off-road bike, and they all produced a couple of videos about each bike. So here we are, this is that colour scheme I was talking about. I think this looks so much nicer than the road version. It says here, shedding 25 kilos over the older model, it's more agile and enthusiastic. You know, we said that before. And in fact, a lot of this is probably duplicate from what I just said from the previous paper. Riding position is spacious and the seat in 875 or 895mm positions. A lower option is available. So, yeah, it's a tall old bike this, isn't it? That was one of the problems with the old Tiger 1200. It was tall and it was really top heavy. So I'm interested in this to see if this is too tall for me at 5'8" and whether this remains top heavy. I really hope they fix those. If I was having one, even though I said earlier I'm basically an on-road rider, this is probably the one that I go for because I just think this one looks lovely. So yeah, the Tiger 1200 Rally is the one that I'm keeping in the back of my head to pitch against the new GS when that comes out. MCN verdict is from Hugo Wilson. On paper it's better than the class dominating GS. For low speed, balance and control, the GS is still better. It's very difficult to compete with the GS when it's got that boxer engine. Whether you like the way it feels or looks or whatever, you cannot deny the way it goes, and the way the weight is low is a massive deal. And for me, that's one of the most important things with these massive bikes, is they've got to be easy to live with, and you can move the GS around relatively easy. If they're big and heavy, with my dodgy shoulders, I've got no chance. All right, that's it for MCM. Now, I mentioned at the start, I got a copy of Adventure Bike Rider magazine. Brilliant magazine. I used to subscribe years ago and then I stopped for some reason. I think when I stopped doing quite so many tours, although I'm hoping I'm going to be doing some more of those again soon. And as I mentioned, the editor was kind enough to set me up with subscriptions, so I'll be having 6 of these through the year. They come out every 2 months, so I'll bring some highlights from that as well. By the way, MCN don't send me that for free. I have to subscribe for that myself. But anyway, I digress. So first thing I just want to highlight here is the ABR Festival, 24th to 26th of June. I've mentioned it before here on the channel. Go and check out the website. Tickets still available. And if you use if you quote TMF5 at checkout, you'll get 5% off your ticket. It was brilliant last year. I had such a great time going the whole weekend this year again. There's some great stuff on there this year. And for me, particularly exciting is that Ryan from Fort 9 is going along. I cannot wait to meet him. We've already exchanged some emails. He dropped me a note saying, do we want to have a beer, which I absolutely do. So looking forward to meeting Ryan in the flesh. If you haven't seen my interview with Ryan, by the way, go and check out my favourite videos playlist. He's one of the most viewed videos on that when I had a chat to Ryan over in Canada. Brilliant chap. Anyway, looking forward to meeting him. I also see now on the website that Teapot 1's going, so it'll be great to share a few beers with Bruce again, of course, although I'll be seeing him in between times, and Sticky Anus as well. Richie Vida will be there as well. So it's going to be a boozy old affair. So if you want to see what it's like, yeah, maybe, yeah, it could get messy, is all I'm saying. But anyway, 24th, 26th of June, if you haven't got anything booked, get yourself a ticket. Go and check out the ABR Festival website and use TMF5 for 5% off. All right, and then there was just something here. This is an item that didn't come up in MCN, which I just wanted to point out. This is the Moto Morini Xcape. I just think this looks a lovely bike, and it's $6,999. Check this out. Moto Morini is a historic Italian brand, which is now owned by Zhongzhen Vehicle Group, based in China. So it's one of these Chinese bikes. Don't get too hung up. The thoroughly gorgeous looking Xcape immediately set pulses racing in the ABR offices, and I suspect throughout the land, when photos were released of its sharp and sleek styling earlier this year. It certainly attracted me. Moto Morini turned to Kawasaki's ER6 liquid-cooled parallel twin plant, which produces 60 brake horsepower and 65 Nm of torque. So it's a proven engine in there. It's got Brembo brakes, incredible. Switchable Bosch ABS, Marzocchi suspension, incredible. And comes in at £6,999. Again, I just say, ignore Chinese bikes at your peril, although it's technically Italian. It's got obviously Chinese bits in there. But it looks amazing. These bikes are just getting better and better. I'd like to, I don't know if I can ever get to ride one of these, but I'd certainly be interested in seeing that in more detail. Anyway, that was from ABR magazine. Get yourself a subscription if you've not done so before. Some fascinating articles in there, all about you know, places to ride, green lanes to go in the UK, all that sort of thing, if you're into your adventure bikes. And I'll see you at the festival in June. All right, that means it's time for... That's it, Parish Notices. A few things to tell you about. I've gone old school again. I've written these down this time. First thing I must say is that Biker Heads have asked me, sponsors of the channel, to let you know that their brand new catalogue for 2022 is now out. If you want to check out all the stuff that Biker Heads distribute, so it's things like Rucker kit, Schubert helmets, Daytona boots, Segura jacket, you know, loads of stuff basically. It's all in the catalogue. Or if you want further details on how to get yourself one of those, check out their website as well. Go to www.bikerheads.co.uk for more details, and there'll be a link below. There always is. As I say, they're very kindly a channel sponsor, so thank you to those guys. Next up, I've written here, shoulder news. I'm always whinging about my dodgy shoulders, so I thought I should mention up front. I had an MRI scan at the weekend, and I'm talking to the doctor on Wednesday, so that's today if you're watching this as I've uploaded it, to find out what's going to happen with my shoulders. I suspect I'm going to be under the knife for both of them sometime in the future. Not too sure how long it's going to take, but the point is, that means I ain't going to be able to ride motorbikes for a little while. So there will be a little period of time when my video output goes down a bit. So just warning you in advance that that's going to happen. But it certainly isn't going to be next month, because I've got a bumper month lined up for you in April. I've got 11 videos currently scheduled, and there may be 1 or 2 more, including things like an update on Mrs. Flyer's learning to ride journey. Lots of people have asked how Mrs. Flyer's getting on, so I thought it was high time we did a little update video. That's quite fun. That's coming up. I've got that video comparing the GS against the new Multistrada that I talked about. Okay, I'm comparing my GS, but bear in mind the current 1250 when I talk about the comparison, so that'll be interesting if you're in that sort of market. I've got the in-depth review of the NC750X from Honda, the DCT bike that I'm currently testing. I've got the first ride of the Suzuki S1000 GT. Massive fan of those old GSX-R powered bikes that Suzuki are now making. You will have seen them on my channel, but everybody's been asking, when are you going to ride the GT? Well, that's coming up. I've got another classic bike review. You will have seen the one I did on the, I think it was the ZZR1400, the Kawasaki. Well, this month I've got the mighty Yamaha VMAX. What a beast that was. So there's a video coming up on that, and more classic bike reviews coming up soon as well if you want them. I've got my first ride on the Streetfighter V2 that I mentioned I've got in the garage at the moment, so looking forward to bringing you my thoughts on that, having absolutely loved the V4 version of the bike, and much more is all. So I've got a few vlogs as well. I did a vlog on the GS a couple of weeks back, and it seemed to go down really well, so I'm going to do a bit more of that and get back to bit more back to basics, do a few less bike reviews and more of the stuff that I used to do, particularly now COVID hopefully is becoming less and less of an issue, and we can do some more travelling again. So looking forward to getting out on the bike and doing some of the stuff that I used to do on the Missenden Flyer. Just to let you know, one for your diary, 29th of April, 8 PM live stream time. I haven't done one of these for ages. We're always saying we should do more live streams, so it's been 6 months since I last did one of these. You've guessed it, we've got Chopsy coming around, we've got Teapot and Richie Vida as well in this very room, or maybe the garage, I don't know. It might be technically a disaster. Bear with us. We're aiming for 8 o'clock. We'll no doubt be completely bladdered. It was great fun last time. Really looking forward to doing that. So if you want to grab yourself a beer and share an hour or 3, the other one went on a bit long, then 29th of April, 8 PM, stick that in your diary. Don't go out. Share a drink with us and we'll have a laugh. That'll be great. What else? Oh, new feature. I'm thinking about, on these bike news, and again, I'm thinking about maybe when my shoulders mean I can't ride as much, I may do something with bike news, and maybe I'll make it a little bit shorter, but maybe make it weekly and have a few more different features. One of the features I'd like to include is resurgence of my, do you remember my readers' rides that I used to do, where I used to get somebody around with their bike and we would talk about that? Well, I thought it's a sort of a different take on that. I thought what I might do is get you to send me pictures of your bikes. If you've got something interesting or special or something you're particularly proud of, send me a picture to themissendenflyer@gmail.com, and maybe we'll try out this readers' rides feature in the next bike news, and we'll see how it goes. So send me a picture, ideally if it could be 1280 by 720, that's the perfect size for YouTube, but you know, reasonable quality picture, together with any details of the bike, how long you've had it, why you like it, any issues, things you like about it, and then I'll do a little readers' ride special before Parish Notices on the next bike news, and we'll see how that goes. I really fancy the idea of that. So yeah, send me in any stuff you've got for readers' rides. Mark in the title readers' Readers Rides, and that way I can definitely put it out because I get an awful lot of mail. So that's the missingandflyer@gmail.com. Put Readers Rides in the title, send me your pictures, send me some details about the bike, and I'll feature it here on Bike News from next month. Next Bike News is scheduled for 4th of May, so stick that one in your diary as well. And as ever, must thank my patrons and sponsors who make all this possible. So thank you to you guys, and again, thanks to you as ever for watching. That's it for this month's Bike News. Look forward to speaking to you again soon. Until then, this has been the Mr. and Fly. Cheerio.